Welcome to Please Ask, the podcast where science steps onto the stage and imagination takes the lead. Join us as artists and scientists team up across Europe to explore some of the biggest ideas in the universe, from quantum physics to astrobiology, and turn them into 3 theatre performances that inspire, question, and connect. Hear from the people behind the scenes, discover the stories that shape the shows, and follow the journey from Mountain Lab to international stage. This is where curiosity becomes creativity and questions become performances. You're listening to Please Ask.
First, I would like to use an observation from one of the workshops that was part of the summer school we're having right now here in Bulgaria, and it's from Andrea. It says, we all know that science is a fundamental part of our existence. It shapes our daily lives, but more importantly, influences our vision of the world and who we are. But in theater, we often struggle with the question of how can we insert science into theater. So I think this really sums up the whole Please Ask project. So for this podcast, I met with the creatives of the projects to discuss their artistic vision and what they want to convey. And this Please Ask project actually involves 3 separate projects created by 3 different countries. It's in alphabetical order: Bulgaria, Czech Republic, and Hungary. So here with me I have Dimitar Uzunov and Andrea Brunello from the Arte Urbana Collectif from Bulgaria. I have Reka, Deak, and Jana Nunčič from the Dafa Theater from Czech Republic, and Viktor, Szivák-Tóth, and Panka, Paskuj from the Progressione organization from Hungary. So thank you for being here with me. And first question I wanted to ask is why you joined this project, and if you actually think that art and theater can help introduce science in theater.
Interesting, you introduced it very well. To sum up very quickly, of course, the project, but this project, of course, goes beyond simple producing of science theater, because it's first it involves 3 organizations that each one will produce theater production on different scientific topic, but also for different audiences. And the process itself is quite interesting. This is one of the objectives of the project, is actually to that we are going to create some sort of methodology of producing science theater productions for different audiences.
So what about you, Reka and Jana, from the Czech team from Dafa Puppet Theater? What was your reason in joining the project, and what is your vision for the project?
Personal for me, it was also one of the first contacts, I think, with
which is also, if I may say, it's a socially engaged activism project. So it's where we use theater not just for the reason of aesthetical reasons, but we do activism. We learn and we share and teach.
Yeah, and I know that with Arte Urbana, it was it was in the planning, and it was a dream to do something together. So then this is how these 3 organizations met and began creating something. So basically the kind of work that Progressione does and the projects that we have are all working with beyond disciplinary methods. So it's basically one of the main interests of the organization, and as such, like this one also being such an initiative, it's how it all began. And what was it?
What's your vision?
What's the vision?
What's your vision for the project, or what you trying to achieve with the project?
Yeah, so we do already have quite a few methodologies and frameworks that we've developed in different projects. So as such, that's also a vision with this one. And like as a project manager, I can say that basically bringing all these fields closer to each other is a goal.
And to clarify a little bit, can you talk a little bit about the scientific side of your projects, like what topic you chose and maybe why?
So, as I mentioned, each organization have different topic. Ours, Arte Urbana's topic is astrobiology. We choose this topic because we've been collaborating for years with astrophysicists. I'm personally, besides being a theater professional, I am a geologist. Bachelor and master degree in science in geology, and part of geology is, of course, astrophysics. So it's something that is, let's say, in my field of knowledge. And of course, we switched a little bit from astrophysics. Now it's more astrobiology. So it's the science of life in space and all those actually metaphysical question: what is life? How life was born? What is intelligence? What is intelligent life? Are we alone? Where are the aliens? All these questions.
I mean, those are questions everyone is asking. Yeah, the Dafa Puppet Theater chose quite a challenging topic. Why did you choose this topic? Was it something that sparked your interest in a book or in meeting someone, or you wanted to explore the idea yourself, or why? Because it's quite a large, heavy topic.
I wasn't there. I'm afraid that Dimitar was there on some online meeting when Hussam, the founder and manager of Dafa Puppet Theater, and Barna from Progressione, they choose the topic areas and the target audience. And well, yeah.
So now we have to run with it.
I think we are managing this quite well, or also in connection to seeing bigger world, that is such a magical place. And for children, science is also something that they don't understand. And this is for us, I guess, the connection of this magical, unknown, and yet to discover world of quantum physics also for us, Reka and me, the whole team, and how to then try to come closer to it for children.
This is what I learned so far from this project, that Reka, I will never ever understand quantum physics, but I will just get closer.
So basically we had the original topic for us was ornithology, and then we had this amazing scientist coming into our lives, and basically he was the one to kind of come up with or offer to us the topic that we are going with, which is evolutionary biology. What do you remember from that? Because we had quite a few other topics as well, because he has a specialization, and then we had some debate about which one to go with.
Lajos, who is our expert of evolutionary biology, is also a very creative man and has many stories in his head, and he offered us many plots, almost prepared plots, and we have many topics, but we are very interested in collaborative work, and this summer school is for our team the first time when we are together, so we will discuss all these topics. There are some very funny, and there are some very abstract ones. There are some which would be very close to the children, and this is also because of Lajos is grandpa as well, and he's really interested in this topic, how to communicate to children, because our target audience are families. So we will have mixed-aged audiences, and our goal is to differentiate between the ages and somehow provoke some collaboration among the generations. How can help children to the adults, to the parents or grandparents, and how can a grandparents help with the children understanding something? And I'm sure we'll give some very inspiring form for this, and we will elaborate some forms of interaction. So it would be really interesting for us, but we are at the very beginning of the process.
And you mentioned that Lajos, your scientist, is very much creatively involved in the process. How did you choose the other participants of the program? Because here in the summer school, we are not here only as the art directors and the dramaturgists, but there are also the future actors and other people who are participating in the project. So how did you choose your team? Was it an open call, or did you all know each other? And are you planning them to be actively part of creating the project, or not?
Every partner has an open call, and it was approximately at the same time. And for the Hungarian team, it was a quite long process, because we have many applicants for this open call, and then we need to somehow sorting them and rethinking what skills we need, what done, how to prioritize these skills, because this is a very special field of theater making, and it's not about the conventional actors' skills. We need not just actors, but partners in creating something, thinking actors and artists.
Together with Andrea, we've been collaborating since 2016, so 8 years so far. And we have some of the members of the team. We've been working together for 4 years, and we opened a call only for an actress and choreographer, meaning those are the real new members of the team. And I'm really happy everybody in our team seems really embracing the unknown and curious, and putting their efforts and curiosity and talent into this.
So do you agree? The Czech team has similar thoughts about it and similar involvement of all the participants?
Yeah, so as per the technical level, we had an open call, and we were really glad because we received more application, and then we choose 2 performers actually, because Dafa is working on a small scale, so we don't have large productions, and we often perform in liminal or alternative spaces, so that's why we were searching for 2 performers, and Jana also submitted her application, and we wanted to work with Jana, and we made space for her. So Jana is the dramaturg.
Yes, it will be also my first dramaturgy. I never did dramaturgy, and I think it's gonna be very instinctive, just because I think I need to respond to the material that will happen there. So I'm excited to actually start to more grasp into what we will be doing.
So I actually have a question for Andrea, because you mentioned that doing theater and science together is very hard, and you may be one of the more experienced people around the table here. You run the Theater of Wonder Festival, that's a science theater festival. So what would you say are the usual pitfalls of artists when they try to create scientific theater? What are the mistakes people make?
Well, there are several potential mistakes. And of course, it all depends on the sensitivity of the artists and how they do it. But one potential mistake is to use science and to treat science as a lecture. So you talk about a topic, and at one point or another during the play, somebody just decides to give a nice, long lecture about something. And that can be done, and there are plays that actually do it successfully, but it needs to be well fit into the plot so that the lecture becomes necessary. In theater, everything needs to be necessary. Everything that is not necessary, you should remove in a play, right? And so science, it's the same thing for science. Another pitfall is to just use jargon and confuse science theater with jargon of science theater, because oftentimes I will go to see a science play and I see that these people are just talking and talking about ideas, but they never really get into the essence, the philosophy of the ideas. But the philosophy of the ideas is exactly why science theater is exciting when it's well done. Otherwise, it's just definitions and definition of things. So these are pitfalls. We could continue with several more, but I think these are the two most important ones.
So within the dramaturgs and the artistic creators, do you yourself worry about certain mistakes you will make, or do you see some hurdles in the project since some of you might not be versed in science? Or you trust your scientists and your creative team that you're gonna create something that's gonna be great?
For me, for good or for bad, as I mentioned, I have scientific background. I spent 6 years of my life plus 2 years working as a field geologist, and after that I started doing theater, and I thought that actually those 6, 7, 8 years were I lost my time. Why did I do geology when I now doing theater and I'm not interested in geology anymore? But slowly I got interested in, especially when one of course of the cornerstones of what I'm doing now is my meeting with Andrea. The other is meeting with one of the scientists that works on our production, Vladimir Buzilov. And my meeting with Vladi was actually it was kind of a coincidence that he was editor-in-chief of BBC Knowledge, the Bulgarian edition, also around 2015, I would say. I met him, and I started writing for BBC Knowledge, mainly for, I would call them travel articles, like popular historical and geographical articles. But this is how I got involved in popular science. And then the meeting with Andrea, and our first production was produced by this team of Vladimir, Andrea, and me.
But can I just add one thing to this, because I think it's important that the scientist in the team is fundamental, because the scientist will keep the bearing of the play and make sure that we don't say anything really stupid. Because it's very easy to say something stupid about science, just to think you understand an idea and use it extensively, and then at the end you realize you didn't understand anything of that, but you still used it, and it's too late. So it's really important. And but of course, these scientists don't make sure that we do a great job. They make sure that we don't say anything stupid. The job is done by the artists, and it's in this combination that it really works. So they both are fundamental.
You actually mentioned in one of the workshops that you need to create a plot in theater that makes the audience want to understand the science behind the plot. So do you see, while probably the scientist wants to correctly convey the scientific idea, so do you see at the stage of your creative processes, do you see different approach from the scientists and from the artists? And do you see it as, I think the tension could be very creative and very productive. Do you see it the same way, or what's your experience so far working with the scientists as creatives?
Who's this question to now? Is it like, because I want to circle back to your previous question, saying like quite the opposite of what Dimitar and Andrea said, that I have a lot of fears, I have a lot of questions.
Really?
Yes, because I do sense the responsibility of this production. I feel the responsibility in what kind of message we want to convey to the audience, and I know that we need to be really mindful of that. I do have trust in both the artistic team and the scientists as well, but it's just something that I know it's at the back of my mind, and it's more and more present. Yeah, I have a lot of question marks in my head.
I also have questions, but for me it's very inspiring. I'm absolutely not afraid. Maybe before the summer school I have some fears about what would happen, but we have a really well selected team. So I know many of this very little team where we have 4 actors and many of their works. And we have a really cooperative and enthusiastic expert.
I can also answer that I think the Czech group has a very nice overlapping of different professions or different roles that happen in theater, or also the scientists, because each of us can be a little bit learned from the other one, but also bring something new to the whole group. And I think that for the mistakes, we are able to observe them, or we are here to kind of acknowledge if something will happen. And I think we can also take them for something good, to maybe, because I think one of my teachers says that, if it's a mistake, it's not a mistake. You use the mistake to make something out of it. And I think also the science and the experimental thing behind it can be our mistake.
So you just gonna trust the process.
Yeah, you trust the process and you handle it. So for me, this is like, it's one of the most wonderful lessons.
And you see the scientists' approach different than the artists' approach to the project?
Yes, because I don't know, Jana, or you, how you agree, because we do a performance, and each year we do 2, 3, 4 performances, and we have the will that this performance should be the best what I can give. It's often not, but we are more. I'm searching for the right words because I'm formulating now. So I think that we trained more for success. Maybe because the audience clapped in the end or so. We are not so much trained for failure.
So how is it in the other teams?
Well, if I can say, you mentioned before in one of your questions the idea that the audience needs to become curious during the play. And that's one reason why making a good science play is very difficult. Because the audience is already typically curious about general topics like love, jealousy. Play about jealousy will always make people interested because we all know jealousy, we understand it. But quantum decoherence is not exactly the easiest thing to talk about and make people really excited about. So this is why it's such an interesting and exciting challenge. Because if you can succeed, then you've done something that was really difficult. If you don't, failure is part of our job after all. And just as you mentioned. On the topic of failure, I have to say, unfortunately, that scientists typically work in institutions that they get regular pays. So if they fail, it's okay. They still bring home the money to pay for the rent. Artists, you fail twice, 3 times, nobody gives you a job anymore. So
and they will throw tomatoes to you.
yeah, and they throw tomatoes and shoes or whatever they throw. So it's a different proposition, but nevertheless, I think that artists and scientists share passion, rigor for their and also this idea that research we build on past experiences.
Yeah, I have to say it was first I felt it was real privilege to meet some of the artists who came for the summer school, and it was amazing to see that it was quite easy to involve them in the creative process. They were really keen on like getting down on the floor and play with us. So what's the next? So that made me think the other way, like would it be just as easy for them to invite us into their world? You know, we invited them into ours and they accepted it and they played with us.
Which I think was one of the unwritten requirements to join this project for scientists, to be open to new experiences.
Like as a kid, you're curious, like you want to know about the world, and then you go to school and at some point, like your interest stops, maybe because of a bad teacher, or you feel like you don't have the head for it, or, you know, for whatever reason you get other interests. But I think science theater is really important to get kids excited about science. So what was your relationship actually to science as kids? What was your favorite subject? Did you think physics, for example? It's a science that explains how the world works. But we had to just memorize things. The same with chemistry. So I was failing. And later in my life, I felt really sad that I didn't get better teachers who would get me excited about learning about the world through science. What was your experience?
So if I may start, no, just because what you're saying is so correct and so true. When I think back of so many of the teachers I had, starting from high school and then later at the university, many of them were really bad. They were really bad because what they did, they wanted you to memorize things. They didn't care if you understood the surroundings of ideas and everything. They just wanted you to know this formula and how you apply this formula. And so that in no way that thing excited me. So why did I do physics? I don't know. In the sense that I had some other, inside of me there was another source of energy and curiosity about physics. And I think the reason why I really got interested in it was because one of my teachers was different. When I was in middle school, he showed me how to build a radio. And I remember taking the little pieces and building it and making mistakes, and it was okay to make mistakes, going back to the idea of failure, fixing it, and then the radio worked. And I could listen to music with the radio that I built. And there is a very, very important physicist. His name was Richard Feynman. He was probably one of the most important physicists of all times, an American physicist, a Nobel Prize winner. And he said that he couldn't understand any idea that he couldn't destroy with his hands and rebuild with his own vision, ideas or objects. So I think whatever will get us interested in science is taking things apart, understanding what we love about them, and then rebuilding them with our own way of doing it. And that's probably what theater should do. It should help us destroy ideas and capture new ways of looking at things.
By the way, if I can just make a comment, Richard Feynman was interested in improv theater. He was stand-up comedian. So this is link important for this to mention this. Since you brought this name here, it's important to mention that such people exist.
Yes, and Dimitar said you're geologists, also by profession. So what was your experience at school? Were you interested in geology since you were a kid, or it came later?
Actually, when I was a kid, I was interested in geography very much. so I was very good at math, but besides that, I was very interested in geology, in social geology, socio-economical geology. Then I went into high school with geology and mathematics, but then it turned out that the geography. But it turned out that the geography, was part socio-economical, part natural. So this is how I got to know the natural geography. And in university, it was because the high school was linked to the Sofia University. It was kind of a natural step to go into geology. But then I entered in geology, and it was very boring. But I had experienced one of the professors were different. And now I realized much later that he was like an actor, you know. He was, of course, he was the best geologist, but he was talking with such a passion, such kind of he was an actor, and this made me actually stay 3 more years, because I started doing theater when I was the first or second year in geology. And I said to my parents, I might switch to theater, which of course for them was like a shock. But I decided to stay in geology besides already doing theater. The fact that I'm now excited about scientists talking about science is partly linked to this professor.
What about the others?
I mean, I was always like a dreamy, artsy little child, and I come from another end of the spectrum, and I was basically interested in all the literature, grammar, kind of languages and all that stuff. But at the same time, like being dreamy, I was also quite practical. So like I know that I experimented a lot with my senses, even if it was just like looking at leaves and trying to see what they're made of. And I was educated in an alternative non-state school system, and there all my teachers were really accommodating to my dreaminess and let me do things and discover things the way that I felt comfortable and the way that I felt safe with.
Yeah, you were very lucky.
When I was a child, I had very traditional education, and I'm really close to what Andrea said. So when I was a child, I thought that what we learning is something related to a created, different reality. It's created by the teachers, or I don't know by whom, and it's not my reality. So yes, that was very strange for me, and it was a long time when I find that that science is also about that reality I am living, and my imagination is also a source of that reality, and all our conversations are a source of that reality, or knowledge about that reality.
Did you know from the beginning of your career that you wanted to do theater? Panka
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
Film and theater.
Yeah. What about you? Viktor?
Originally, I am a chemist, so no. But from teenagers, I was playing in amateur groups and groups led by drama pedagogists, and it was very important to me. All my friends are from these companies, or the core of this, because you have more and more options to get new friends. But originally I'm a chemist.
And you were already saying
Yes.
that you were a scientist and then you jumped into theater. You knew Andrea.
I don't have memory of being an artist when I was a young child. I remember you were talking about drawing or something. I remember one of my teachers, he asked us to draw trees. And I remember drawing several trees, and then he came up to me and he said, "What are these suppositories?" And I thought it was terrible, and I was really upset about that, because I really put a lot of effort into it, so I decided drawing wasn't for me. So this is how teachers can really make damage. They can really damage, because maybe they were not the best trees, but you can look for something interesting in it and, help.
Yes. What's your experience? Have you ever worked on another project funded by Creative Europe?
Yeah, it was called Curious Culture as what was the acronym?
Culture as a unique resource
to understand science. And it was a very, very interesting project because also connected several countries around the world. It was a small-scale Creative Europe project, and we finished it just last year. And in that project, we were supposed to produce Theater of Wonder festivals around Europe. And in fact, now in Sofia, there is a Theater of Wonder festival, just like in Italy, so we, brothers in this. And also to produce what we call the augmented lectures, which were not real theater shows, but they were lectures by researchers augmented by the presence of artists on stage. And so they were halfway between a real lecture and a theater show. These augmented lectures became a format, and actually we have been producing augmented lectures for several years now because of this. So
at Progressione, we have quite a few ongoing Creative Europe projects. I manage two others. One is to do with technology and arts, and the other one is decolonizing arts.
Dafa is working on one other project that's funded by Creative Europe, right? The EcoFlight.
The EcoFlight project, yes.
Personally, I was very happy when this summer me and my wife could go to Rome for a month, and it was because Creative Europe Fund, the Culture Moves Europe, and I think these funds are really important, mainly for those who are working on progressive areas of arts, because it's not always well funded not even by the audience or the governments.